Lisa Martinez felt her stomach turn as the shuttle approached Kepler Prime. Through the small window, she could see the massive space station that would host the most important meeting in human history. Ships from dozens of alien races surrounded the station like metal vultures, waiting for something to die. "First time seeing this many alien ships in one place," said Colonel Jake Morrison from the seat beside her. His hand rested casually on his sidearm, a habit that had kept him alive through 3 decades of war. Dr. Amy Sullivan looked up from her datapad, her face pale with worry. The Zelari brought 12 hive ships. Need for protection. The Krenth have positioned their war cruisers in attack formation, and the Vorthon ships are broadcasting on frequencies that suggest they're ready for immediate combat. Lisa took a deep breath and straightened her diplomatic uniform. Earth had sent her here with one simple mission: end the war. For 30 years, humanity had been fighting the Rim Wars against 3 of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Human colonies had been destroyed, civilian ships had been attacked, and millions of people had died. The war was bleeding, Earth dry. "Remember?" Lisa said to her team. "We're here to make peace, not to surrender. Humanity deserves a place in this galaxy." The shuttle docked with the station, and the airlock hissed open. The first thing Lisa noticed was the smell. Each alien race had its own scent, and mixing them together created something that made her eyes water. The second thing she noticed was how the alien delegates looked at her team. Their expressions ranged from bored to hungry, but none showed respect. The meeting hall was enormous, the circular table that could seat representatives from 50 different species. Today, only 4 races mattered: humans, Zelari, Krenth, and Vorthon. The other species were there to witness what everyone expected to be humanity's surrender. Lisa took her seat across from the 3 alien leaders. The Zelari Queen voice looked like a giant insect with too many eyes. Her chittering filled the air with a sound like breaking glass. The Krenth war speaker was a massive creature covered in scales and scars, his red eyes fixed on Colonel Morrison's weapon. The Vorthon elder mind appeared almost human, except for the third eye in the center of its forehead that glowed with psychic energy. "Let us begin," said the Queen voice, her translator making her words sound cold and mechanical. "Humanity has requested this meeting to discuss terms for ending the conflict." Lisa stood and activated her presentation device. Holographic images filled the space above the table, showing maps of human territory, trade routes, and military positions. Humanity proposes the following terms for peace. We will withdraw our forces from all contested systems in the Outer Rim. In exchange, we ask for guaranteed safe passage through neutral space for our merchant vessels and an end to attacks on civilian targets. The war speaker laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Is this human humor? You speak as if you have choices?" "We also propose," Lisa continued, ignoring the interruption, "joint research programs to share medical and agricultural technology. Humanity has developed solutions to food shortages and disease that could benefit all species." The elder mind's third eye pulsed brighter. "Your mental patterns show confusion. Human, you believe this is a negotiation." Amy leaned forward in her chair. "What do you mean?" The Queen voice's mandibles clicked together in what might have been amusement. "There will be no negotiation. There will be acceptance of terms, or there will be complete destruction of your species." Lisa felt the blood drain from her face. "I don't understand. You called this a peace summit." "Peace, yes," said the war speaker. "Peace through proper order. Your species has proven too dangerous to be allowed freedom in the galaxy." The elder mind projected its thoughts directly into the minds of everyone present. The psychic touch felt like ice water in Lisa's brain. "These are the terms. Humanity will withdraw to your home system immediately, will not expand beyond the Sol system ever again. Your military vessels will be limited to chemical propulsion only. No fusion drives, no antimatter weapons, no shields above level 3. Colonel Morrison's jaw tightened. "You're asking us to go back to the Stone Age." "We are not finished," the Queen voice continued. "Your population will be reduced by half. The excess humans will be relocated to work colonies throughout the galaxy. They will serve as laborers for essential projects. Amy's datapad clattered. To the floor? You're talking about slavery. We prefer the term productive integration, said the Elder Mind. Your species has shown remarkable adaptation abilities. You'll be valuable workers. Lisa's hands shook as she gripped the edge of the table. Round the hall, the other alien species watched with interest. Some looked excited, others appeared bored. None showed any sympathy for humanity's situation. Oh. And if we refuse these terms? Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. The war speaker's smile revealed rows of sharp teeth. Then we will take your home world by force. We will burn your cities and scatter your people across the galaxy as slaves anyway. But if you accept now, some of your kind will remain free in your home system. The Queen voice added, you have lost every major fleet engagement in the past 5 years. Your colonies are defenseless. Your people grow tired of war. Accept these terms, and some humans will survive. Refuse, and your species will be remembered only in historical records. Lisa looked at Jake and Amy. She could see her own shock reflected in their faces. They had come here hoping for peace, believing that reasonable beings could find a way to coexist. Instead, they had found predators who saw humanity as nothing more than resources to be harvested. The silence stretched on for long minutes. The alien delegates waited patiently, confident that humanity would accept slavery over extinction. After all, what choice did they have? Lisa Martinez stood slowly. Her voice was quiet when she spoke, but every word carried across the silent hall. Humanity rejects these terms in their entirety. Yes. The reaction was immediate. The Queen voice's chittering rose to an angry buzz. The war speaker roared with laughter. The Elder Mind's third eye flared with disbelief. Cannot be serious, the Elder Mind projected. Your species lacks the military capacity to continue this conflict. Lisa began gathering her papers, her movements calm and deliberate. Then we'll lose. What we'll lose is free humans, not as your slaves. Amy and Jake stood as well, following Lisa's lead. Round the hall, alien observers whispered among themselves. No species in galactic history had ever walked away from a peace summit. Your home world will burn within the year, the war speaker threatened. Lisa turned back one final time, her eyes meeting each alien leader in turn. Her voice was steady and cold. Then you'd better bring everything you have, the human delegation walked toward the exit, their footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. Behind them, the three most powerful civilizations in the galaxy began planning humanity's destruction. None of them realized they had just made the worst mistake in galactic history. Lisa Martinez walked down the corridor of Kepler Prime Station with her head held high. Behind her, she could hear the angry voices of alien delegates echoing from the meeting hall. Colonel Jake Morrison stayed close to her left side, his eyes scanning for threats. Dr. Amy Sullivan hurried to keep up, her face still pale from shock. Ma'am, Jake whispered, we need to get to the shuttle immediately. Security feeds show alien forces moving toward the docking bays. Lisa nodded, but kept walking at the same steady pace. She would not run. She would not show fear. If humanity was going to die, they would die with dignity. Amy grabbed Lisa's arm. What have we done? They'll destroy Earth now. Billions of people will die because we walked away. 8. Lisa stopped and turned to face her friend. Amy, what would you tell your daughter if she was forced to choose between slavery and death? That's different. Sarah is just a child. No, Lisa said firmly. It's exactly the same. We cannot sell half our people into slavery to save the other half. We cannot give up our freedom to buy a few more years of life. Some things are worth dying for. They reached the docking bay where their shuttle waited. The pilot, Captain Danny Rogers, was already running pre-flight checks. His face was grim as he saw them approach. Captain Rogers, Lisa said, send the coded message to Earth immediately. Authorization, Omega 77. Danny's hands froze. Over the controls, ma'am? Are you certain Omega 77 means? It means humanity chooses to fight rather than kneel, Jake finished. Send the message, Captain. As Danny began transmitting the coded signal, alien security forces entered the docking bay. 6 Krenth warriors in full battle armor advanced. toward the human shuttle. Their leader, a scarred veteran with cybernetic implants, raised his weapon. Human delegates, he called out in broken English, you will return to meeting hall. War Speaker demands your presence. Lisa stepped forward, placing herself between the aliens and her shuttle. We have diplomatic immunity. You cannot detain us. The Krenth leader laughed. Immunity ended when you rejected peace terms. You are now enemy combatants. Jake's hand moved to his sidearm, but Lisa held up her hand to stop him. She knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. But she also knew something the aliens did not. Very well, she said calmly. We will return. Amy stared at her in shock. Lisa, what are you doing? Buying time, Lisa whispered back. They were escorted back to the meeting hall under heavy guard. The alien delegates were still there, along with dozens of observers from other species. The Queen voice's chittering had reached an angry pitch. The War Speaker paced back and forth like a caged animal. The Elder Mind's third eye blazed with psychic energy. Humans, the Elder Mind projected, your actions show mental instability. Perhaps confinement will help you think more clearly, Lisa. Walk to the center of the room, ignoring the weapons pointed at her. Before you imprison us, I have something to say to all the species represented here today. The Queen voice's mandibles clicked impatiently. You have nothing left to say, human. Your species has chosen extinction. No, Lisa replied, her voice carrying across the hall. We have chosen something else entirely. She activated her personal communicator, broadcasting on all frequencies. Her words would reach every ship in the system, every listening post, every intelligence network in the galaxy. My name is Lisa Martinez, representing humanity at what was supposed to be a peace summit. Instead, we found ourselves at a slave auction. The Zelari, Krenth, and Vorthan civilizations have demanded that half our population be given to them as workers. They want to cage the rest of us in our home system forever. Murmurs spread through the observer sections. Many species had not known the true terms being offered, Lisa continued. Humanity has rejected these terms. We choose freedom over slavery, death over chains.
Wow.
But before we die, we want the galaxy to know what we discovered here today. The War Speaker roared, silence her. But Lisa kept talking, her voice growing stronger. We came here believing in the possibility of peace between equals. We learned that the powerful species of this galaxy see newer races as nothing more than resources to be harvested. Today, they demand our people as slaves. Tomorrow, they may demand yours. Jake stepped forward to stand beside Lisa. Every species watching this should ask themselves, are you an equal partner in this galaxy? Or are you just waiting for your turn to be enslaved? Amy joined them, her fear replaced by determination. Humanity will fight. We will lose, but we will make them pay for every world, every ship, every life. And when we are gone, remember that we chose to die free rather than live as slaves. The Elder Mind's psychic projection filled the room with rage. Enough. Guards, arrest them immediately. But as the alien soldiers moved forward, Captain Rogers' voice crackled over the communicator. Ma'am, message delivered. Earth acknowledges receipt of Omega 77. All human vessels are now executing emergency protocols. Lisa smiled for the first time since arriving at Kepler Prime. Thank you, Captain. It has been an honor serving with you. The Krenth guards reached them, weapons ready. But before they could fire, the station's emergency alarms began blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the hall. A technician ran up to the War Speaker, his forearms gesturing frantically. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the human fleet. Their ships are powering up weapons and engines simultaneously. The Queen Voice's translator crackled with confusion. Possible. Human vessels cannot generate that much power without destroying themselves. Through the station's viewports, they could see the human escort fleet surrounding their diplomatic shuttle. Each ship was glowing brighter and brighter as their reactors reached dangerous overload levels. Jake grinned at the alien guards. You wanted to see what happens when humans choose death over slavery? You're about to find out. Admiral Betty Clark's voice echoed through the station's communication system. Her words were calm and clear. This is Admiral Clark of the human escort fleet. Any vessel that attempts to harm our diplomatic team will be destroyed. We have nothing left to lose, which makes us very dangerous. The war speaker stepped forward, his weapon aimed at Lisa's head. Your ships will stand down, or you die here and now. Lisa met his gaze without flinching. Admiral Clark, this is Ambassador Martinez. Do not negotiate for our lives. Execute your orders. Understood, Ambassador. It has been an honor. The human ships began moving toward the station, their hulls glowing white-hot from reactor overload. Every alien vessel in the system scrambled to intercept them, but the humans were not trying to escape. They were not trying to win. They were trying to send a message that would echo across the galaxy for 1,000 years. Lisa Martinez stood in the center of the meeting hall, surrounded by aliens who had expected her to beg for mercy. Instead, she had shown them something they had never seen before, a species that would rather die than compromise its freedom. The war speaker's weapon trembled in his hands. He had conquered dozens of worlds, enslaved countless species, but he had never faced an enemy that welcomed death as an alternative to surrender. You're insane, he whispered. Lisa's smile was cold as space itself. No, we're free, and that terrifies you more than any weapon we could build. Outside the station, the first human ship reached critical overload. Its reactor exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen across the entire system. Galaxy was about to learn that some prices were simply too high to pay. Admiral Ryan Carter stood on the bridge of the UCS Liberty watching the stars through the main viewport. His ship was hidden in the shadow of an asteroid field, 3 light-years from Earth. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, preparing for what might be humanity's final battle. The coded message from Kepler Prime had arrived 6 hours ago. 3 simple words that changed everything. Olympus Protocol authorized. Ryan had helped write the Olympus Protocol 15 years earlier, back when humanity first realized that peaceful coexistence with the alien powers might be impossible. It was never meant to be used. It was supposed to be humanity's last resort. A plan so desperate that even thinking about it made him sick. Now, it was their only chance. Admiral, said Commander Susan Blake from the communications station. All ships have confirmed receipt of the protocol activation. Phase 1 is beginning across all human territories. Ryan nodded grimly. Phase 1 was evacuation. Every human, colony, research station, and outpost was receiving the same orders. Pack only what you can carry and leave everything else behind. 17 billion humans were about to become refugees in their own galaxy. On Mars, Captain Nicole Hayes watched as transport ships landed at New Geneva Spaceport. Families hurried up the loading ramps, carrying children and small bags of precious belongings. Many were crying. They did not understand why they had to leave their homes so suddenly. Nicole understood. She had read the Olympus Protocol files. Mars was too important to leave intact. The terraforming equipment, the mining facilities, the agricultural domes, all of it would be useful to Earth's enemies. All of it had to be destroyed. Captain Hayes, her second-in-command, said quietly, "The evacuation ships are at maximum capacity. We have room for maybe 10,000 more people." Nicole looked at the crowds of humans still waiting at the spaceport. There were at least 50,000 people left. Load the children first, then the elderly, everyone else. Paused, knowing what she was asking. Everyone else will have to wait for the next wave of ships. But there would be no next wave. Nicole knew it, and deep down, so did everyone else. On Europa, engineer Paul Rodriguez worked alone in the antimatter storage facility. His family had evacuated on the first transport, along with most of the station personnel. Only a skeleton. Crew remained to complete their final mission. Paul's hands shook as he began overriding the safety protocols on the antimatter containment system. Europa's research station contained enough antimatter to power a small city for a year. It also contained enough antimatter to create an explosion visible from Jupiter's orbit. Paul, his assistant Linda, said over the COM system, "The last transport is leaving in 10 minutes. You need to get to the launch bay now." Paul looked at the countdown timer on his screen. The containment field would collapse in exactly 37 minutes. "I can't leave yet, Linda. The timing has to be perfect." He did not tell her that he was not planning to leave at all. Someone had to stay behind to make sure the facility was completely destroyed. The aliens could not be allowed to capture humanity's antimatter technology. Across human space, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Governor Linda Foster on New Kansas supervised the systematic poisoning of the planet's grain supplies. If humanity could not feed itself, then no one would benefit from the billions of tons of food they were leaving behind. Dr. Kevin Walsh uploaded 30 years of xenobiological research to the Human Data Network. His files contain detailed information about alien physiology, including weaknesses that humanity had discovered during decades of medical cooperation. The data that was supposed to help save alien lives would now be used to end them. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Commander Susan Blake led a fleet of ghost ships through uncharted regions between star systems. These vessels had been secretly constructed over the past decade, hidden from alien surveillance. They carried no identification markings and appeared on no official records. Susan's ships were not designed to fight pitched battles against alien fleets. They were designed for something much worse. Each vessel carried specialized equipment for psychological warfare, biological weapons, and target assassination. They were built to hunt down alien leaders and destroy alien infrastructure. Commander, her weapons officer, said, "We've reached the designated coordinates. Zalari Forward Base is exactly where intelligence said it would be." Susan studied the tactical display. The Zellary base was lightly defended, containing mostly supply ships and communication equipment. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a target would be considered a war crime, but these were not normal circumstances. "Begin the operation," Susan ordered. "Remember, we want survivors to carry the message back to their hive ships." A human ghost fleet struck without warning. Stealth missiles disabled the base's defenses, while boarding parties captured key personnel. But instead of killing the Zellary defenders, the humans did something far more disturbing. They released engineered viruses specifically designed to target Zellary biology. The pathogens would not kill immediately. Instead, they would cause gradual organ failure over several weeks. The infected Zellari would return to their hive ships, spreading the disease throughout their fleets before anyone realized what was happening. Dr. Walsh's research was already proving its value. Back on the Liberty, Admiral Carter received reports from operations across human space. The evacuation was proceeding ahead of schedule. The sabotage missions were complete. The ghost fleets were in position. Admiral Commander Blake reported, "We've just received word from Earth. The President has authorized Phase 2 of the Olympus Protocol." Ryan felt his stomach clench. Phase 2 was the point of no return. Once it began, there would be no possibility of negotiation, no chance for mercy, no hope of peaceful resolution. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "long-range sensors are detecting massive alien fleet movements. The Zellar, Krenth, and Vorthon forces are mobilizing." "Yes, they're heading for human space." Ryan nodded. He had expected this. The alien powers were planning to crush humanity's rebellion quickly and decisively. They wanted to make an example that would discourage other species from defying galactic order. They had no idea what they were walking into. "All ships," Ryan broadcast to his fleet, "execute Phase 2 immediately. Show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's children." Across human space, the real war began. Not a war for territory or resources, but a war for the right to exist as free beings in a hostile universe. Humanity had walked away from peace, and now they would show their enemies the terrible cost of forcing that choice. The aliens had expected humanity to surrender or die fighting conventional battles. Instead, they were about to face something that had never existed in galactic history: an entire species willing to burn down civilization itself rather than accept slavery. The ghost fleets began their hunt, targeting alien supply lines and communication networks. The poisoned grain made its way into alien food distribution systems. The engineered viruses spread through alien populations like wildfire and in the darkness between stars. 17 billion human refugees prepared to become something the galaxy had never seen before. Civilization built entirely on the principle that freedom was worth any price. Admiral Carter looked out at the stars and whispered a prayer for humanity's future. They had chosen the hardest path possible, but it was the only path that led to freedom. The galaxy was about to learn that some species could not be caged. The Zellar hive ship dominance emerged from hyperspace at the edge of human territory, expecting to find desperate defenders waiting for them. Instead, Queen Voice Zara found empty space. The human colony of New Perth should have been here with its 3 billion inhabitants and massive industrial complexes. Instead, there was nothing but dead planets and floating debris, Report Zara commanded, her voice filling the ship's communication chambers. Worker voice Keth scuttled forward on 6 legs, his multiple eyes blinking nervously. The planets show signs of recent evacuation. All infrastructure has been destroyed. But Queen Voice, there are energy readings from the surface of New Perth that concern us. Explain. The humans appear to have left something behind. Biological signatures that do not match human life forms? Zara's mandibles clicked with interest. Perhaps the humans had left livestock or food supplies behind in their haste to evacuate. Send a harvesting team to the surface. We will make use of whatever they abandoned. 6 hours later, the first Zellerai workers began falling ill. The symptoms started as simple fatigue, then progressed to organ failure. By the time the medical drones identified the cause, it was too late. The humans had seeded their former colonies with engineered viruses designed specifically to kill Zellari, but the worst part was not the immediate deaths. The worst part was that the infected Zellari had already returned to their hive ships, spreading the disease throughout the fleet. In days, the Dominance and its escort vessels were floating graveyards. 3 star systems away, the Krenth Warfleet under Battle Leader Thox approached the human military installation at Fort Liberty. Massive Space Fortress had been humanity's primary defense post in the Outer Rim, equipped with the latest weapons and shields. Finally, Thox growled to his bridge crew, "The humans have left us something worth taking." Fort Liberty appeared intact and functional. Stocking bays were open, and automated systems were broadcasting welcome messages in multiple languages. To the Krenth warriors, it looked like a prize waiting to be claimed. Auto Leader, his second-in-command, warned, "This seems too easy. Why would the humans abandon such a valuable installation without destroying it?" Scarred face split into a grin, "Because they are cowards who fled before our might. Dock with the station. We will claim it for the Empire." The Krenth fleet approached Fort Liberty's docking ports. The station's systems guided them in with perfect efficiency, helping them secure their ships and providing atmospheric readings for the boarding parties. Everything seemed normal. The Krenth warriors entered the station in full battle gear, expecting to find human defenders or at least some resistance. Instead, they found empty corridors and functioning life support systems. The humans had apparently left in such haste that they had forgotten to shut down the facility. Thox led his troops toward the command center, already imagining the intelligence they would gather from the human computers. But as they reached the center of the station, he noticed something strange. The walls were covered with human writing that his translator could not decode. "What does it say?" he asked his intelligence officer. The officer studied the symbols carefully. "It appears to be a human numerical sequence. 10, 9, 8, 7. ... Understanding hit Thox like a physical blow. Evacuation. All troops evacuate immediately, but it was too late. Fort Liberty was not an abandoned installation. It was a massive bomb designed to look like a gift. The station's reactor had been rigged to explode the moment. Enough enemy forces were inside to make the sacrifice worthwhile. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. The Krenth fleet, along with Battle Leader Thox and his warriors, vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. The Vorthan Collective faced a different kind of horror. Their telepathic network, which connected billions of minds across dozens of worlds, began receiving strange transmissions. At first, the Elder Minds dismissed them as random interference from human communication systems. But the transmissions were not random. They were carefully crafted psychological warfare, designed by Captain Tony Miller and his team of specialists who had spent years studying captured Vorthan technology. The humans had learned to broadcast on telepathic frequencies, and they were using this ability to flood the Vorthan network with sensory overload. Human music played at volumes that caused psychic pain. Human literature was transmitted as pure emotional experience. Overwhelming Vorthan minds with alien thoughts and feelings, Elder Mind Vex tried to close his consciousness to the human transmissions. But they were everywhere. The network that had been the Vorthan's greatest strength was now their greatest weakness. They could not shut it down without losing their ability to coordinate their civilization. But they could not keep it running while the human assault continued. Transmissions are increasing in intensity, reported Younger Mind Nix, his third eye dim with exhaustion. Our people are beginning to suffer permanent psychic damage. Vex tried to focus through the constant noise of human thoughts battering. His mind... Can we block the signals? No, Elder Mind. The humans are broadcasting from multiple sources throughout the galaxy. They have somehow infiltrated our private frequencies. The truth was worse than Vex could imagine. The humans had not just learned to use Vorthan telepathy. They had improved it. Captain Miller's team had discovered ways to amplify psychic transmissions and target specific areas of the Vorthan brain that controlled fear, pain, and memory. The Vorthan collective was slowly going insane. Admiral Ryan Carter monitored the reports from his command ship, watching as humanity's unconventional warfare destroyed their enemy's ability to function. The Zelari had lost 60% of their fleet to the bioweapons. The Krenth military was in chaos after losing multiple fleets to human booby traps. The Vorthan collective was fragmenting as their telepathic network collapsed under psychic assault, sir, Commander Blake reported. We're receiving surrender offers from 12 different alien species, requesting immediate ceasefire and offering tribute payments. Ryan studied the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements. Are any of them the 3 species that demanded our surrender? No, sir. These are smaller powers who supported the original ultimatum. The Zelari, Krenth, and Vorthon are still fighting. Then we continue operations. Send a message to the surrender offers. Humanity does not negotiate with civilizations that support slavery. It can withdraw from all human territory immediately or face the same fate as our primary enemies. Ryan walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. 6 months ago, those same stars had seemed full of promise for peaceful coexistence. Now they marked the boundaries of a war zone that humanity was turning into hell for their enemies. The alien powers had expected humanity to fight like civilized beings, following the established rules of galactic warfare. They had expected territorial battles, fleet engagements, and eventually negotiated surrender when the humans realized they were outmatched. Instead, humanity had done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had abandoned civilization entirely and turned themselves into a force of pure destruction. Every human world that the aliens captured was poisoned or booby-trapped. Every piece of human technology was designed to kill whoever tried to use it. Admiral, his communications officer, called out, "We're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. President Martinez is requesting a status report." Ryan activated the secure channel. Lisa Martinez's sister, President Alina Martinez, appeared on the screen. Her face showed the strain of leading humanity through its darkest hour. "Admiral Carter, what is our current strategic position?" "Madame President, the enemy has learned that there is no such thing as victory against humanity. We cannot defeat them in conventional warfare, but we can make conquest so expensive that they will abandon the attempt." Alina nodded grimly. "The cost to us?" Ryan hesitated. The cost was everything. Humanity had given up their colonies, their trade networks, their place in galactic civilization. 17 billion people were living in refugee camps, scattered across hidden bases throughout the galaxy. "The cost is acceptable, Madam President. We are still free." "Then continue the mission, Admiral. Show the galaxy that some prices are too high to pay." As the transmission ended, Ryan returned to planning humanity's next phase of operations. The aliens had wanted slaves. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous, a species with nothing left to lose and the technological capability to make everyone else pay for their freedom. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity's definition of victory was different from everyone else's. They did not need to win. They only needed to make sure their enemies could not win either. 1 year after humanity walked away from peace, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session on the neutral world of Sanctuary Station. The meeting hall that had once held 500 delegates from dozens of species now contained fewer than 200 survivors. The Zelari Queen voice who entered the chamber was not the same proud leader who had demanded human slavery 12 months earlier. Half her hive ships were gone, destroyed by human bioweapons that continued to spread through Zelari space like wildfire. Her remaining fleets were scattered across the galaxy, afraid to group together for fear of creating larger targets. The Krenth War speaker limped into his seat, his once mighty form now supported by mechanical aids. His warrior fleets had been devastated by human trap after human trap. Every victory had become a defeat. Every conquest a poisoned prize that killed more Krenth than it was worth. The Vorthan elder mind flickered in and out of coherent thought, his telepathic abilities damaged by months of human psychic warfare. The great network that had once connected billions of Vorthon minds was now fragmented into isolated pockets of consciousness. Afraid to link together for fear of human mental assault, around them sat the representatives of dozens of smaller species, many showing signs of recent conflict. The galaxy that had been stable for 1,000 years was now torn apart by warfare, refugee movements, and economic collapse. Ambassador Carol Stone entered the chamber as the new human representative. She was younger than Lisa Martinez had been, but her eyes held the same determination that had shocked the galaxy a year earlier. Behind her walked General Mike Torres, humanity's new military coordinator, and Dr. Helen White, the scientist who had helped design humanity's most terrible weapons. The Queen voice spoke first, her translator struggling with her weakened voice. The human delegation is recognized. You have requested this meeting to discuss terms for ending the conflict. Carol stood at the center of the chamber, just as Lisa Martinez had done a year before. But this time, the humans were not asking for anything. The old galaxy died when you chose slavery over partnership, Carol announced, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. What exists now is our creation.
Oh.
The war speaker tried to lean forward, his cybernetic supports worry. State your terms for peace. What do you want from us? Carol's response was delivered with cold precision. There are no terms. There is no conflict. There is only the new reality. Confused murmurs spread through the assembled delegates. The elder mind struggled to project his thoughts clearly. You must want something. Territory, resources, revenge. All species have desires that can be negotiated. General Torres stepped forward. You still don't understand. Humanity doesn't want to rule your territories. We don't want your resources. We don't want your submission. Then what do you want? The Queen voice demanded. Dr. White activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. The images showed star systems throughout the galaxy. But these were not the familiar worlds that had dominated galactic politics for centuries. We want you to see what you forced us to become, Dr. White said. For the past year, while you were trying to hunt down human refugees, we have been building something new. The hologram zoomed in on a previously unknown star system. Planets that had been barren rocks were now covered with cities and green spaces. Massive space stations orbited worlds that had never supported life before. These are the new human worlds, Dr. White continued. Built using technology we developed while you were busy trying to enslave us. Terraforming systems that can transform any planet into a garden world in months instead of centuries. The assembled delegates stared at the images in shock. The technology required for such rapid terraforming was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. General Torres pointed to different sections of the display. We have established colonies. In 47 star systems that your surveys claimed were uninhabitable, we have built trade networks with species you dismissed as primitive. We have created military alliances with civilizations you never bothered to contact. Carol walked closer to the alien delegates, her footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. While you were fighting our ghost fleets and dying from our bioweapons, we were building a new civilization. One based on cooperation instead of domination. The Queen voice's mandibles clicked frantically. Impossible. Our intelligence networks would have detected such massive construction projects. Your intelligence networks have been compromised for years, Dr. White replied. Every data transmission, every surveillance report, every military communication has been filtered through systems we control. You have been seeing only what we wanted you to see. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. The human claims are accurate. Everyone turned to see Ambassador Rick Johnson of the Altarian Republic, a species the major powers had always ignored because of their small military. He was accompanied by delegates from a dozen other minor civilizations. The Altarian Republic announces its formal alliance with humanity, Rick continued. Along with the Centauri Federation, the Vegan Collective, and the Outer Rim Coalition, together, we represent 130 species that were never invited to join your Galactic Council. The war speaker roared in anger. Those species lack the military power to challenge galactic order. General Torres smiled coldly. They do now. Humanity has shared our technology with our allies. Our weapons, our shields, our terraforming systems. The galaxy you once controlled no longer exists. Carol returned to the center of the chamber. The choice you gave us was slavery or death. You chose a third option, building something better without you. The Elder Mind's damaged telepathy flared with desperate communication attempts. You cannot simply ignore the established powers of the galaxy. We have rights, territories, trade agreements spanning millennia, had Carol corrected. You had those things. But you lost them when you decided that newer species existed only to serve your needs. Dr. White changed the holographic display to show the current state of the galaxy. The traditional power centers were shrinking, surrounded by growing regions marked in blue to represent the new human alliance. Your civilizations are dying, she announced matter-of-factly. The Zellery hive ships continue to fall to biological warfare that adapts faster than your medical science can counter it. The Krenth warrior culture is collapsing as your soldiers refuse to fight an enemy that turns every victory into a trap. The Vorthan network fragments further every day as our psychic warfare evolves. Carol addressed the smaller species in the chamber. To those civilizations that supported the demand for human slavery, you have a choice. Join the new galaxy. We are building as equals, or continue serving masters who no longer have the power to protect you. One by one, delegates from minor species stood and walked toward the human section of the chamber. The exodus continued until only the three major powers and a handful of their closest allies remained in their original seats. The Queen voice made one final attempt at negotiation. What do you want us to do? Our civilizations are ancient, with billions of citizens. You cannot simply erase us from existence. General Torres answered with brutal honesty. We don't need to erase you. You are erasing yourselves. Every day you continue this conflict, more of your people die, more of your resources are wasted, more of your territories join our alliance. Carol walked toward the exit, followed by the growing crowd of allied delegates. Peace was offered once at this very station. You rejected it in favor of slavery. That offer will not be repeated. As the humans and their allies filed out of the chamber, the Elder Mind projected one last desperate thought. This is not over. The ancient powers of the galaxy will not simply fade away. Carol paused at the doorway and turned back. You're right, this is not over. But it's not a war anymore either. It's an evolution. The galaxy is growing beyond the need for your kind of civilization. The doors sealed behind the departing delegates, leaving the once mighty powers alone with the wreckage of their galactic dominance. Outside the station, Admiral Ryan Carter waited aboard his flagship. The human fleet that surrounded Sanctuary Station was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships built with new technologies, crewed by humans and dozens of allied species working together as equals. Admiral Carroll reported as she returned to the fleet. The old powers have been given their final warning. Phase 3 of human expansion can begin. Ryan nodded and opened communication channels to the human colonies. All stations, this is Admiral Carter. Begin full colonization protocols. The galaxy is ready for a new age. Across known space, the transformation accelerated. Human terraforming. Technology turned dead worlds into gardens overnight. Allied species shared knowledge and resources freely, building something that had never existed before, a galactic civilization. Based on cooperation rather than domination, The old powers watched in horror as their ancient dominance crumbled. They had expected humanity to kneel or die. Instead, they witnessed humanity walk away from everything the galaxy represented and build something entirely new in the darkness between stars. The galaxy learned that some species cannot be caged, cannot be enslaved, and cannot be forced to accept terms that violate their fundamental nature. Humanity had chosen freedom over survival, and in doing so, had created a new key.